Hi, my name is Dawn Carroll, and I'm a Boston-based designer trying to help save an old house called Mystery Manor. If we do not save more of these special places, we learn less and less about the spectacular humans that have walked this planet before us. If we don't save these historic places, the stories vanish. The stories go untold, the songs go unheard, the words go unspoken, and the legacies are forgotten. And without our history, I think we lose our way. I found a crumb of a story from long ago, and I wanted to know more. The story is about the headquarters of the National Negro Opera Company, a Queen Anne-style house in Pittsburgh, also known as Mystery Manor. The house had completely fallen into disrepair. It's also about all the people that stayed at this house and all the creative energy within the walls of this house. At nighttime, the elite of Pittsburgh, Black community, came through those doors. They were not welcome anywhere else, and it was a spiritual safe haven for people of color who were not permitted to be on the street after dark. The house also served as a rooming house for traveling musicians and sports celebrities that were not accepted or local hotels because of the color of their skin. Who stayed there? Lena Horne, boxing legend Joe Louis, Roberto Clemente, Count Basie, and many others. It's about Mary Dawson. So Mary Dawson was this amazing woman who just was unstoppable. She was an entrepreneur, an educator, a mentor. She became a talent agent. She was determined to start her own opera company. Mary was born in 1894, a time when culture fiercely dismissed a strong woman's voice. A strong Black female voice was really rare. Her groundbreaking superhuman beliefs created a foundation that every woman stands on today, yet most women have never even heard of her. I needed to change that. Mary became my hero, my mentor, my energy. She had died almost 60 years ago, but now she was back at my studio, at my desk, pushing my pen, demanding not to be forgotten. She was begging me to write, and the walls began to talk. And then 15 songs later, we had a soundtrack. So this is Mystery Manor back in the 1940s, and it was a magnificent home. And these big, huge granite steps is where all of the legends walked up the stairs. And inside that first floor is where they would sing and dance the night away. And the house got its name, Mystery Manor, because you just never knew who would be inside. So you would find people from the football team, the Steelers and the Pittsburgh Pirates. You'd find all the jazz legends, movie stars. It was a really glamorous, fun place. And the home was owned by Pittsburgh's first Black millionaire, Wiggy Harris. And Wiggy loved being a patron of the arts. He loved seeing all of these fancy cars pull up in front of his house and have people just come and have a safe place to enjoy the evening hours. On the second floor is where Mary Cardwell Dawson started the National Negro Opera Company. So the house was full of music and arts and entertainment, and it was a place where people could come and dream and create. This is what the house currently looks like. This is the house that Janae Solomon purchased some 20 odd years ago to try to help save the history of it and make sure that it didn't fall into the hands of wrong development teams. It's a beautiful piece of property, but the house needs a tremendous amount of work. I thought I could help get my clients, builders, designers, and architects, to help save this house and maybe even adopt a room and reimagine the Roberto Clemente room, reimagine the Joe Louis room or the Lena Horne room. And so I was dreaming of a show house, and I wanted to film the restoration. Janae Solomon has worked tirelessly to extract everything that's dangerous about the house, because you could not get into this house because it was in such bad shape. Ironically, that big giant tree to the right of it still stands today, and I got to touch that tree and stand on that tree and just imagine the future of this home. And we all want to join forces to protect this home, protect the history for all of the future generations. So water is the biggest enemy of this house, be it rain or snow. As the water penetrates the hole in the roof and goes through, it goes to all of the floors and damages the entire home and makes it unstable. Currently, stabilization is what's happening with the house to make sure that we can keep the weather out and start stabilizing it inside so that people can start to tour the inside of the home. And here's our girl, Mary. So Mary started her music school at Mystery Manor, and then she moved up to the upper floor and started the National Negro Opera Company. And that not a lot is known about Mary. There's no known recording of her. We did find her school records at the New England Conservatory here in Boston. So we know she went there. We know she probably went there around the same time as Coretta Scott King. She left Boston, went to Pittsburgh, started her music school, started her opera company. She knew as a woman of color at this period of time, her history as an opera singer would have to be kind of put to the side. But that didn't stop her from becoming a fierce contract negotiator, world-class opera producer. She found talent all over the world and created world-class opera. And she's a little lost in music history right now, but we're really happy to see others telling her story and seeing her start to come back as the first lady of Black opera. When I found the story, I had never heard of Mary Cardwell, and I knew very little about opera. I just kept staring at the house and felt an ache about the history that had been lost. So my entire project started around this little poem. And the poem was really just about pulling her story from the dirt and the decaying structure and making sure nobody forgot her again. This little poem is what started my entire project. I sent the poem to my friend Michael Berry, who's a hip hop artist in Houston. And I said, Michael, I'm trying to save a house in Pittsburgh, and I need you to help me. Michael is homeless in Houston. He is determined to help save this house. And he helped create this poem and co-write this song with myself and John Butcher. And it became the lead song. It's a song called If the Walls Could Talk. It's about saving the house, saving the history, and never forgetting Mary again.
History comes alive, so the future can survive. If these walls could talk, they would surely tell the story of their time.
If the Walls Could Talk was the first song that came to me. I kept staring at the images of this house. It was magnificent once, and it was haunting now.
History comes alive, so the future can survive. I asked these walls to talk, share the story of their time. For if these walls could talk, they'd speak, the house is mine. From those who perform to the memories that's enshrined. And if these walls could talk, they'd say we aged just fine. Cracks and peels
I
show
kept looking at the dirt, and that the story was falling into the dirt. So it started as basically my lyric that I sent to a young kid in Texas who's a really good hip-hop rap artist. And I knew I wanted to blend opera with hip-hop. I figured that if Mary was alive today, she'd be really into rap. She'd find it fascinating. So I sent Michael my poem and said, Michael, make this your own story. Tell me what you think. Do a little research. Here's a couple links for you. A day later, my email rang with a message from Michael, and he had sent me my words with his words, with the story of the house from his point of view. And he had done it in a spoken word that just blew my mind. I sent it to John Butcher, who's my writing partner for anything and everything music, and said, take a listen to this. We need to put this to some music. We figured the best way to do that was an old-fashioned studio time. Fly Michael up to Boston, go to the studio in Gloucester, go in lockdown, and just pray something magical came out of it. We had no idea what the project was going to be. Again, I just thought it was going to be a little bit of marketing music to go ask the 1% of the 1% to help save this house. And we walked out of the studio that day with If the Walls Could Talk.
Took a trip to Boston, a historical presence received so much more than a bottle missing. Got it by some angels when I needed direction. Never met Miss Mary, but I'm really feeling her presence.
Hands outstretched, reaching for my brother. We can't survive if we destroy one another. Trying to find a way to stop this insanity. Hands outstretched, reaching for my brother. Can you raise me on voices one to another? About years of every age to save this society.
The architecture of this first song is really an adventure. A young rapper from Houston learns about Mary. He feels her energy, he needs a hero, she becomes his hero, and he tells her story. And then, by extension, he tells his own story. He follows Mary's sound, finds her historically significant home on the verge of extinction. The walls begin to rumble. Prominent black voices begin to speak. The rapper becomes their lifeline. Together they restore everything: the house, society, hope, freedom, and equality.
History comes alive, so the future can survive. If these walls could talk, it would surely tell the story of their time. If these walls could talk, they'd speak this house's mind, from those who perform to the memories that's enshrined. If these walls could talk, they'd say we aged just fine. For my cracks and peels show my true age in history and time. Save me, the house's plea. To tear me down now would be removing a piece of history. Almost a century I've stood in plain sight to see. Right there, right on the corner of 7101 and Apple Street. Even if I'm abandoned, I'm still here for the world to see. For the day that I'm removed from the street, no longer here for the travelers and the tourists to see. Maybe, just maybe, that's when they'll actually notice me.
That one song turned into a 15-song soundtrack called Songs for Mary. If the Walls Could Talk was the beginning. The song Rise was my story about learning the history of Joe Louis and imagining if he met Lewis Hamilton, what they could do together. The song Slowly is the Mary Cardwell story. It's a sad and powerful story about the condition of our world today after she and all of her friends worked so hard to make it a better place. Who's Gonna Save the World is the Lena Horne, Mary Cardwell song that's asking all of us the question, who's gonna save this world? Dearly Departed was kind of a fun song about current day, 2026, trying to explain to the 1940s world what has happened since they departed. So that's us waking them up and telling them what has happened. And then the track number 7 was kind of a gem. It was a song I had heard 30, 40 years ago. It was a lost Tchaikovsky song. And I made that song the voice of Mary throughout, because we are talking about a spirit of a house and spirit of Mary. So that is the lead song of the entire musical. And because we don't know what Mary sounded like. There's no known recording of her. We don't know if she was soft-spoken, sweet. We don't know if she swore. When I was working with my co-writer for the playwright, he asked all these brilliant questions. What did she sound like? And we don't know. So we had to take a lot of license here just to kind of make her the elegant woman that we knew she was, the really intelligent woman that we know she was, and the humanitarian, the woman with a giant heart that tried to do so much for the world.
Come back, Mary. Snap back, Mary. Your dreams I will proudly carry. I will not let you crumble. Your legacy makes me humble. Pull your life from soil and dirt. I will nurse these wounds. You will no longer hurt. If these walls could talk.
Big Old Daddy is the Woogie Harris song, because Woogie is another voice that we don't know much about, but we can tell by the fact of his big house and his Duesenberg car and all of the things that he did to try to bankroll people's dreams. And so that's his song. And then we just go on and on. Roberto is the Roberto Clemente song. The Now and Then is sort of a reflective song that really, we hope, inspires people to think about how hard these individuals had to work in the 1940s and risk their life for rights that we're still fighting for today. So it does have a message there. That's our pal Woogie with his mirrored piano. These are some of the gorgeous people that would be inside Mystery Manor. This is the opera company that Mary created. That is probably our biggest hero of the story. This is Wiggy Harris's brother, and he's the one that took all of the photographs that allowed us to put all these pieces of a puzzle together. So this is a quote from Michael Berry. Without Michael, this project would not have the strength and courage, the musical talent. It's also to find a person much younger than myself learning this history gives us all hope. You know, he found the story so interesting and fascinating that we made him the lead in the whole musical. It's about Michael discovering all of this history, and by learning and listening to the mentors of yesterday, he can find his way today. So I believe Songs from Mary is a gift. It really is the story about all of these people in 1940s, but it's also the story of us. The entire story can give us hope, can teach us, can unite us, can help us figure out how to make the world more inclusive and knock down the barriers that we're all experiencing today. The Songs for Mary album is available on every single major platform, streaming services, Spotify, all of them. And we hope you will download the album and learn the history. It's a fun album that has a little bit of music in all genres. Like I said earlier, it has a Tchaikovsky reimagined piece with a hip hop beat. It has some jazz influences. It has Michael's hip hop rap influences. It's a fun album, and again, is a little bit of something for everybody, just like the house. When we released the album, we did it at the Minotti showroom in Boston, and we did it for a very captivated audience of developers, architects, builders, designers, and editors of design magazines. We really wanted to get the design community behind this house. The musical, the music, the creative efforts is a marketing tool to really talk about something bigger. We have to save some of these places. We have to find out who lived in these walls and what happened in these places, and make them destination spots so that people can learn and be inspired. When you feel stuck in life and you're not sure how to get a project moving forward, you can lean on these stories and find some inspiration and learn how other people accomplish their dreams. So this next video is about the song Slowly. And the song Slowly is really Mary Cardwell's exasperated message. It's a beautiful, haunting song. I closed my eyes and wondered, what would Mary say today if she opened her eyes and realized everything she worked so hard for had kind of just been wiped out?
They slip away. You think they're here to stay.
Slowly is when I think all of these people moved into my house. Anybody who has found this story feels like they have the energy of Mary surrounding them. And Slowly woke me up in the middle of the night. Earlier in the evening, I had heard an interview with a beautiful woman named Tanya Lefman. And Tanya was a Holocaust survivor who lived in a ditch for a couple of years, hiding from the Nazis. And the interviewer asked her, how does this happen? And she just kind of stared in the camera very calmly and said, well, it's happening now. It happens slowly.
You hold it in your hand. Am I talking to myself? If you believe in me like I believe in you, to take us home again on another cloudy day. You believe in me like I believe in you.
I just sat down in my chair and said, what do you mean it's happening now? So it kind of just stuck with me. And then I think it was 2, 3 in the morning. It was a stormy night. The windows were rattling. It was straight out of a Hollywood story, but it's all true. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I think that this song was basically written in 15 minutes. I mean, it just slowly came fast. It came like a bolt of lightning. And I kept wondering what would happen if Mary opened her eyes today. You know, they had fought so hard for all of our rights, civil rights, women's rights, everything, human rights. So I wrote the song with Mary mentoring all of us, telling us what we needed to do. We needed to use our voices. We couldn't be silent. We couldn't not get involved in something because this was happening with or without us.
So this was really a magnificent day in the history of this entire project. After years of working on this project, learning about the house, learning about the people, dreaming about the house, I actually got to go. And you can see from this image and comparing it to the previous images, Janae Solomon has been a busy girl in Pittsburgh. So earlier in the story, we mentioned that Woogie Harris had a Duesenberg. And a Duesenberg car is so valuable today that only a few people have them. And when we were trying to create the voice of Woogie Harris in our script, I had to really dig deep. You know, who was Woogie? What did he do? What did he have? And I learned that he had a Duesenberg. So then that put me on a search to find the Duesenberg because I figured that that was very relevant to our story as we were trying to piece these, this puzzle back together. So I discovered that the car was gone. It had been involved in a terrible car accident, but the engine, which was known as J209, still existed, but it existed in a private collection and was unreachable. I hate slammed doors, so that made me more determined than ever to find the car. And we put it in the script, where we have our hip hop artist telling a kind of a scary guy that his car is gone and his house is falling apart and he's losing his mind because all of his prized possessions are gone. And when it gets to his car, if you're a car fanatic, if somebody touches your car or even puts a fingerprint on your car, it can be a bad day. But when we're telling him that his car is missing, he wants to know who could possibly have stolen his car and is demanding that we find it. We know that Jay Leno has a bunch of Duesenbergs, so we kept it kind of funny in the script where we said, well, maybe Jay Leno has the car, not realizing that Woogie Harris would have no idea who Jay Leno was. So he just insists that we go find Jay Leno and bring him to him right away and get his car back. Years later, because this took me a couple of years to find this car, I got a phone call and the private collector had donated this car to the Stalls Auto Museum in Detroit. And somebody remembered there was a girl in Boston looking for J209, this car. And I got a phone call and was invited to speak about this story of searching for this car and again, connecting the pieces. So we went out to the Duesenberg Museum out in rural Indiana. The Stalls Auto Museum brought the car for the lecture. And we talked about how if we had not saved this house, all of these car enthusiasts, all these Duesenberg enthusiasts would know very little, if anything, about Woogie Harris or the history of this, who owned this car. So that was a really, really cool moment. I'm a bit of a car nut, so I was really, in heaven that I was able to talk to all these car guys about the story. And we actually had them play the parts of the musical of when Woogie's being told his car's gone. So we got 3 audience members, one to play Michael, the hip hop artist, one to play Woogie Harris, and one to play Mary Cardwell Dawson and have this conversation about how the car was gone and that maybe we could find it in Jay Leno's garage. And in this image, that is the original Woogie Harris J209 engine. When you want to get project validation and you want to find out whether you've got a cool project or not, probably the scariest thing I can think of is going and presenting it to a bunch of third graders who will give you the most honest opinion of your project, whether the music's any good, whether the story's any good. And I won't lie, I was terrified. I thought for sure that kids would not be interested in an opera story. They may not be interested in the music story or the architectural story. These kids embraced all of it. They became historic preservation activists after the first hour, and we spent a lot of time together. I was so encouraged that they found my project interesting that I asked them to make it their own, to come up with their own poems, their own songs, their own album covers, anything that they wanted that they found interesting about the story. be it the photographer, Teeny, who took all the pictures, to Woogie, who was the first entrepreneur, Black millionaire of Pittsburgh, to the opera star. And I came back a month later and they presented all of their projects to me. And it was just the most amazing day ever. They created art. This particular artist found the song Who's Gonna Save the World inspiring. So she created her art piece. That's me in the right corner. Somebody thought it was cool that I decided to try to get interested in Mystery Manor. They became really angry that nobody wanted to save this house, and they did their homework, which was really so inspiring to me. And this architectural drawing, it rivals some of the architectural drawings that are on my desk every single day. I mean, this young guy has got a big future in doing architectural renderings. They wrote their own poems about why this story was important to them. And this is the last song of the production of the theatrical piece, If the Walls Could Talk. And it really is what we hope people will go running out the doors with fists in the air, motivated to do something. And this is the name of the song, Who's Gonna Save the World? And these little third graders are gonna save the world. So saving the history, this was a really pivotal moment for the project. And we talked about it a little bit earlier with the New England Conservatory. So this is Boston artist Iris Marcus on the left, and I asked her to do the portrait for the album cover. And this is the original painting that she did, which became the album cover. And what we did that day was get the painting, bring it to a framer, and we were getting ready to donate the painting for Mary Cardwell Dawson's 100th birthday party. And it was going to be installed at the New England Conservatory in the Blumenthal Library next to the Coretta Scott King bronze sculpture. And this history was anchored now where it belonged at the New England Conservatory, and Mary would not be lost in history again. This was a pretty amazing moment for myself, for Iris, who did the portrait, but also Janae Solomon, who's worked so hard to save this history. And this is a picture that you can go see at the library at the New England Conservatory. This is inside the Blumenthal Library. And that is Janae Solomon in the middle, the current owner of the house, Iris and myself. And we get to the reading. So this was the very first public reading of If the Walls Could Talk. And I had never been to a reading before, so I had no idea what to expect. And I hid behind our fabulous filmmaker, Carrie, just to see how this was going to play out. It was unrehearsed. It was just a reading. There was no acting and there was no music. Each actor embrace their characters. Seeing it come alive on stage is an experience I'll never forget. We have Mary Cardwell, we have Wiggy Harris, we have Janae of the character, and Michael sort of there in the middle, the four in the middle. And each one of them just immediately got the story. I don't know how or why, but they just got it. It has to be the spirit of Mary Cardwell Dawson. That's me with our Wiggy Harris character, who had so much fun. He just, embraced the entire character of it. I hope to work with him more. I think he's the perfect Wiggy Harris. And then the ending happened. So the ending was pretty surprising. It got a standing ovation. It got some cheers. It got a few tears. But then, unknown to all of the actors, the real Michael was in the audience. And this was not scripted. Michael approached the stage and introduced himself and said, "I'm the real Michael." And the gentleman with the A on his sweatshirt was the theatrical Michael. So watching this moment was just, again, I can't even explain the feeling. I have known Michael for almost 20 years, since he was a student in high school. And watching this moment come true for him and watching the expressions of these actors meet him was really incredible. So that was a special moment. So again, we want to thank you for your interest in this project. We hope you'll get involved in this project. So we hope you will come help us and join us on this mission. This is American history. This history belongs to the world. We're just sort of the lightning rod that kind of pulled everything together. We're currently doing a rewrite to make room for the music and make room for acting, which means extracting a lot of the pages out of the current script and making room for the things that have to take place for this to go into the next phase of development. And we hope you'll join us. Come have fun. Come learn history. Come be a part of this. We hope to do more of these projects. There are a lot of houses looking to be saved, and there's a lot of lost stories inside the walls of these historic places.
Big old daddy's coming back to town. Your big old daddy's coming back to town. So spread the news, don't hesitate. We'll shake this town till it percolates. Big old daddy's coming back to town. Yeah, that's right, all right. Your daddy's coming home tonight, all right, all right. Your daddy's back in town.
Yeah.
Our story is about the headquarters of the National Negro Opera Company.
Against time, it's time for a fight. It's a race against time in the fight of our lives. Step into the ring for a heavyweight bout. Like Shaq in the post, I would never back down. Gotta roll with the punches, that's no cheap shots. Hits below the belt, reinforced in the spots. Rise for a fight that's been long overdue. It's a race against time.
So I wanted to try to help save this house with Janae Solomon. I was like, what can I do? And initially it didn't sound like it was a lot of money or anything crazy. So creating some marketing music to try to get designers, architects, and builders to grab the hammers, nails, and pencils and help us figure out how to restore this house and save this house was my main goal. A little marketing music turned into something I can't even explain, but 15 songs later, we had a soundtrack called Songs for Mary.
Don knew almost immediately it would become a stage production. And in February of 2025, the first public reading of If the Walls Could Talk occurred in Needham, Massachusetts. That night injected hope and empowerment to a room full of people. So would you like to join us in this inspiring project? There are many opportunities to get involved. First, we are blending our stage performance with our musical score to create a full musical theatrical release.
So we're looking for powerful, creative energies to come in and help figure out how to, restore this history and preserve it.
We seek experienced and creative people to help us complete that task. And simultaneously, we seek the needed finances along with people with building and design expertise to help restore the home and build it into an important living museum. We hope you will want to get involved in this important piece of American history.